Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Batman Arkham Knight Batgirl DLC. It is dubbed a family matter, and this is part 2 of it. So after playing a little there with Robin and getting robbed, we're going to move over to the second situation where we think the hostage is, and we're going to try and find them. This one just so happens to be a rather small Predator section, which is introducing you to the way that Catwoman works in this, which is to say she works very similar to pretty much every other installment of the franchise. Do you know another way I knew this wasn't developed by Rocksteady? Was how she glided. Glide in this DLC and dive bomb and pull up. Get the feel of how it glides and how it works. Then go back and play Arkham Knight and do it with Batman. It's completely different. It's almost like a different aerodynamic formula that governs the way she moves. And do you know what it feels just like? Arkham Origins. And the reason I know this is because when I beat Arkham Knight and I did the walkthrough when I was, jonesing for a fix of more Batman, I went back to Arkham Origins and I beat it on I Am the Knight difficulty. And all of the shit that fucked me off about it happens in this DLC. Right here, this is not the best way to deal with this, but it's definitely interesting, and it works. I didn't know what would happen when I used that machine to attract them. The way I did this on my first run is I jumped out the balcony, I took him down when he was just underneath where that machine is, and then I snuck up to his friends and did a double takedown. That is a much cleaner way of doing that, but you're going to see just some experimenting going on in this run. In fact, there is a sequence coming up where I use another distraction without fully knowing how to use it, and I miss the opportunity to do a really cool takedown of 4 people. And if you do that, you'll clear the rest of the room without needing to do what I do afterwards, so hopefully the strategy will still stand for when you try it. That's if you need this at all, because this content is, as I mentioned, there is no difficulty to it. I assume a lot of people watching will be people who don't want to pay the money for it, or who are interested because it's currently exclusive to people who have the Season Pass. And you might be wondering, Chris, you bought the Season Pass, didn't you? And I did, guys. And I did this without knowing that this wasn't Rocksteady Productions. And I'm gutted now, and I'm really worried. Because it was expensive. It was almost as much as what I paid for the fucking game, which is horrendous. And I hate Season Passes to begin with. I think they're a terrible practice, and I am a massive hypocrite for supporting this one when I'm telling you not to support them. And it sucks to be in that position, but I really wanted this to be amazing. I really did. And in its defense, I think it's a decent piece of content. It's very short, but I had fun playing it, and I had fun making this walkthrough, even though technically it's just a no damage run more than anything. But they've introduced what you're getting in August for the Season Pass as DLC, and it's a bunch of costumes for Batman and for the car, and they look cool. They look really cool. In fact, one of them is the Michael Keaton Batman, which is my favourite Batman, and I had a little bit of one of those fanboy moments where I was just like, that looks amazing, but at the same time, it's just a costume, and there's nothing to do in this game now, except for go back through the campaign or try and get higher scores on the ARs, because I've done everything, and I mean, it's cool, but I want better things than that, and I think a lot of people would agree. Like, they've mentioned that there's going to be challenge maps. Are they going to be good challenge maps, or are they going to be, lacking challenge maps? Because you don't really know what the bar of quality is at this moment, and there's a lot of people that have lost some faith in Rocksteady for it, which I don't think is fair against Rocksteady, even though they're the dev, and they must know that this shit was happening. It's probably more Warner Brothers than anything, but it's just that moment where normally it's a seal of quality, and now we're questioning it, which sucks because it's like a breach of trust. And there's another piece of DLC coming out, which is like the Gotham's Most Wanted, where it's adding a bunch of supervillains that you're going to have to go and capture, much like the side quests on Arkham Knight's campaign. However, is Rocksteady doing that, or is it these guys again? Because if it's these guys again, then my excitement's going to die in the womb, because I just can't gestate any love whatsoever for combat that's not as sharp and that's lacking all the awesome conventions that they've introduced in this most recent iteration. Like, I find it baffling. All I want to do is play as fucking Adriel and run around the city beating people up. That's all I want to do. That guy's amazing. He has every single move that Batman has. Explain that. Batman made those gadgets. Like, half those gadgets we only saw during that one event that he was watching, and I suppose he probably made them from them, but, like, you don't have to explain why Azrael has all the moves and why he's amazing. Just give us the dude and some content that's fun, and make it so that it's made by the people who make the combat good. Like, It seems really silly, but I've had more glitches in this DLC than I have in the entire campaign, and I beat the campaign 3 times. Which, I think that speaks, you know, a large margin as to a quality difference. And the glitches weren't bad things, it was literally Batwoman's cape getting stuck. I don't know why it was doing what it was doing, but it would literally go rigid. It was almost like in the Batman movies when he puts the electrical current through the cape and it goes taut. It was like that. Only it was vertical in the air and it looked like she was being pierced by it. She looked a little bit like Sagat with that ice cream cone on him from the PC mod. But this is one of the biggest Predator rooms in the DLC. And what I like to do here is I like to take people out, preferably out of the way of other people, so that you can get as many of them taken out before they realise anything's wrong. If they see a body, it'll put them into a more alerted status and it will make this slightly more tricky because they can move around in groups. The good news is there are so many vantage points, so many traps and so many opportunities to take them out. I'm just going to be going pretty vanilla stuff here, finding them, isolating them and then silently taking them out. However, every so often you're going to see me fight with the Batman controls because I still think they're at that point where Batman's way too sticky when you're on certain objects. It's kind of like Assassin's Creed, where all you want the guy to do, or the gal, is to drop, and one of the ways you've been taught to do it is to press A to jump to carry more distance, or you can press B and you'll just step off. That's the two distinctions, and those are the mechanics that were understood. But sometimes it doesn't do it. And then you end up bashing it and you end up doing something you don't want. So right now, if you touch the skull again, it'll gas them and you can do a fear takedown and kill all four of them, sorry. But I didn't realise that I could do that because I'd never touched that trap before. I wanted to see what it did. So instead I come over to this dude and I take him down. And then afterwards, I hit the skull again and I realise what I was meant to do. But learn from my mistakes, folks. It's a really cool way of getting rid of a ton of dudes. But I really like this room because while you're doing this, there's generally 2 dudes having a conversation, which seems like a massive reference to Jurassic Park because they're on about finding the mosquito in the amber. And they're talking about glass, and it's a really silly conversation, but I enjoy it quite a lot considering I messed this up actually. I messed it up on the second to last guy. I got spotted and I just restarted. But this run went really good, so that's when it scares them. And you'll notice I immediately give me a prompt to take down. If they'd have all have been there, I could have chained it like a fear takedown, and that would have been godlike, but, you know, ignorance is bliss and all that. But you'll notice the guy on the right there stood in front of the vent. The vent takedown is an effective takedown, but it's loud, and that's one of the issues with it. Also, I don't know what leads into that vent. You probably go through one of those roof grates to get to it, or probably one of those underground ones, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be dividing and conquering, utilising detective vision and just thinning out the numbers. Also, if you do the knockout smash, it will alert people close to you. However, if the last guy is, you know, technically on his own, you can do it to him all you want and it will just end the encounter a little bit quicker. But he's about to climb up onto the main deck of the boat, or whatever that is, the crazy pirate ship. And then we're going to glide down, hopefully not land too close. How many times have you tried to do that and you've landed in the completely wrong spot and been seen? It happens so frequently. But only 2 guys left, one on the right, one on the left. I think there's a wall between them as well. You can probably do a vent takedown on him, but I'm probably not going to do that because I think the vent takedown's another one that's loud. So grab him silently instead with that new animation. Look how skinny Barbara's legs are. There's times when I think she looks really attractive, and then there are other times when I think the character model doesn't look attractive at all. It's kind of weird. Certain angles, she's playing the MySpace angles. But I like how her hair sticks out. I think it looks pretty cool. But now that you've done that, go over to the security guards, or the police officers. I think the police officers. Yeah, they are. Hack this machine, and then we're going to be moving the crane to get him out of the pit. And then once you've done that, there's going to be a little bit of exposition, and all you have to do is move towards the exit that's now opened. It's the opposite direction that I'm going now. I went to the wrong angle. It's just over there. One of the things I really like about good waypoints is when they're on the screen without you needing them to be, and you can see them wherever they are. I love the ones that show through geometry, show through everything. I think the bat signal in this game is a great idea, but I think it's a horrible waypoint, and the amount of times you'll chase a horrible waypoint looking for a riddle and it's pointing you in the wrong direction is something that has been present ever since Arkham City.
Fine. What was that? A bad
But
joke.
good, solid voice acting as well. Nice voice acting, nice back and forth. There's just not enough. That's the issue. Like, when they said it was going to be a fully fledged, you know, little mini campaign, I expected so much more. And then when you read about it, when people were trying to defend it, saying how much was in, and I don't know, technically they're not liars. There is a side quest, one. There are collectibles, not many, and it does have supervillains. All two of them in the exact same fight. Like, you know, it's hard to say that it's false advertising, but it fucking feels like it is. I love that inflatable on the left there as well, because it reminds me of the Tim Burton Batman when Joker's flooding the streets with money and then he starts gassing people. But over here, you can glide through this mouth and skip the fight in that courtyard. You don't have to do any other fight than the ones that you see the cutscenes where Robin joins you, or which are bomb specific. All the ones around the park you can completely skip should you choose to. I'm going to do them if I stumble into them, and I'm going to skip them if I can skip them. It's one of those things where it makes this a little bit longer, so there's a little bit more content for people to watch. Then again, I'm cutting these videos after every hostage save and every subsequent bomb, so they're not going to be that long because it's really quick. You're looking at half an hour, guys. This is fraud, by the way. I'm just having trouble catching it. You might notice that I'm incredibly critical of Arkham Origins. Do you know one area where Arkham Origins is better than Arkham Knight? That machine. In Arkham Origins, the analogs have a pull to them, so you get a good feeling of vibration of where it is, and you never have that weird messing around. It's a lot more linear, it's not as complicated, but it's a lot more fun to do. And I don't know why they changed it in this one, because I don't think hacking is half as fun as it used to be. Because you just seem like you're twiddling bloody Kitty's nipples all the time. But that was it again, you see that? There was a life bar pop up when we did the tag takedown, so I think I'm going to go with Robin and Batgirl take a beating, and then when you go back to them it updates your life bar, because it's the only thing I can think of. Like, I've watched this footage back to check it out. That time there was no life bar, you see? Maybe Batgirl's just better at fighting than Robin is, who knows? But as you can see, there are some environmental interactables, yet she won't pick up the explosive barrels when I press the button to do so, so maybe she's just fussy like that. And at any point you can swap between the characters should you choose to. I was really tempted to play as Robin, because I really like Robin, but then I remembered, you know, every time I did it I seemed to take damage, so it kind of put me off doing it. But you can see, folks, and my audience that watches this, they're the people I really care about. If you think that I'm somehow cheating and this is not a no damage run, then that's perfectly fine, but you're probably not a subscriber, and you're probably not somebody who knows anything about me, because it's just not how I do things. Speaking of not how I do things, that was a tag team takedown failing again. It's almost depressing, but thank you very much for watching. This content could have been so much better than it is, but there is still something worth playing here, even if I'm a little bit upset over paying the money that I did for it. So you take care now.